So this afternoon, I'll discuss thoroughly the concepts for Physics 1. Now, what are the topics covered in Physics 1? This will focus on mechanics. Okay, so we'll start with forces, Newton's laws, and then circular motion. We'll study work and energy, even power. Okay, so that will be the content of our discussion for this afternoon. Okay, so what is the importance of studying physics? We define physics basically as the study of the interaction between matter and energy. Okay, now why is it important that we know physics? Because all around us, the things happening around us can be explained with physics and mathematics. Okay, so if you know the math and you know the physics, it would be easier to understand the things, the natural phenomena happening around you, because these natural phenomena are described by the laws of nature, which are actually physical laws, which can be written in terms of mathematics. Okay, so if you know physics, then you would appreciate the natural phenomena happening around you better. Okay, so to begin with, let's start with forces. Okay, so the concept of a force. How do we define force? When we were in elementary, we were taught that whenever there is a push or a pull, there is a force. So force is associated with a push or a pull, but that's quite elementary. Now that's an elementary description of force. But of course, since you are engineering students already, you are graduating, we need to level up your description of force. So who among you can give me a description of a force which is not a push or a pull? Anyone? I can see some faces like Sandra. Ayan, si Elaine. Tumaas si Elaine. Yes, Elaine? How would you like to
Sir,
describe force?
yung force po nagko-cause po siya ng change sa velocity.
Force causes a change in velocity. Exactly. Now, anything that causes a change in the velocity of an object is considered a force. But we know when the velocity of an object changes, what does it acquire? When the velocity of a body changes, then it acquires what? Quantity or property. Kapag ka nagbabago ang velocity ng isang bagay, ano ang tinataglay niya? For example, siya ay mabagal, biglang bumilis. So kaya siya bumilis kasi may net force na nag-act sa kanya. Now, force ang nagiging dahilan kaya nagbabago ang velocity ng isang bagay. For example, an object is moving at a specific velocity which is quite high. Now, bumagal yung object. Nung bumagal siya, bakit siya bumagal? May force na nag-act sa kanya. So, ang dahilan kaya bumibilis or bumabagal ang isang object ay force. So, ngayon, nung bumilis or bumagal yung object, nagkaroon siya ng ano? Ang pagbilis or pagbagal ng isang bagay ay ang kanyang, anyone? Come on guys, you know that? Someone typed an answer, acceleration. Thank you, Lester. Thank you, Sophia. That's correct. So, in effect, what is force? Force is anything that causes acceleration. That's why we know a fundamental formula of force in mechanics. I can see my marker. Force is anything that causes a change in velocity, but the change in velocity is actually the acceleration. So therefore, force is anything that causes acceleration. That's why we know a very familiar formula for force. Force equals mass times acceleration, diba? F equals ma. So this formula is very fundamental in mechanics because this gives us the expression for finding the net force acting on a body. Okay, so what is net force, by the way? If there are several forces acting on a body, then the vector sum of all these forces is called the net force. Sometimes this is also called the resultant force, net force or resultant force, because force is a vector quantity, we know that, and we can simply add forces like adding 1, 2, 3. Why? Because again, force is a vector quantity. That's why we need to apply vector addition. So the vector sum of all forces acting on an object is called the net force, or sometimes resultant force, or sometimes we call it the unbalanced force. Okay? Now, what if after getting the resultant of all the forces acting on a body, what if ang na-compute mong value ay 0? Anong ibig sabihin nito? Sige nga. What if after finding the net force, ang na-compute mong value ay 0, what does this mean? Anong ini-imply nito? Anyone? Walang may alam? Yes, ano? Thank you for answering even through chat. I really appreciate that because hindi ko masyadong ramdam na ako ay mag-isa, no? Okay. Thank you for your cooperation and participation. That's right. The system must be in a state of equilibrium. No? Sir, anong ibig sabihin ng equilibrium? That is a state, the state of a system when the net force acting on it is 0. So therefore, if the system is in equilibrium, the net force is 0. So therefore, if the net force is 0, that means wala rin siyang acceleration. Diba? Kasi kung ang net force ay 0, 0 din yung kanyang acceleration. Now, what are the conditions in which a body may be in equilibrium? There are two possibilities. First is when the body is not moving. If a body is at rest, of course, it's not moving. Its velocity is 0 and it's not changing. Therefore, the net force acting on it is 0. The acceleration is 0. So, a body at rest is always in equilibrium. But here is the question. Can a body in motion be in a state of equilibrium? You answered. Can a body in motion be in a state of equilibrium? Is it possible? Yes or no? Oh, yes daw. Salamat po sa mga nagchat-chat. The answer is yes. Ano po? Tama ang inyong mga sagot. It is possible. So, how can a body in motion be in a state of equilibrium? If your answer is yes, then how can a body in motion be in equilibrium? What's the answer? Tama si Kim Abel. Ano? If it has a constant velocity. Yes. If it has a constant velocity. But having constant velocity implies something. Why? Because we know velocity is vector. It has a magnitude and direction. So if the velocity is constant, its magnitude doesn't change. Therefore, the speed of the object doesn't change. What about its direction? If the velocity is constant, its direction doesn't change as well. So what does it imply? If an object has a constant velocity, then its path must be a straight line. Naiintindihan po ba? Kung straight line yon, yung kanyang direction hindi nagbabago-bago. Kasi nga, constant ang velocity. Yung kanyang magnitude at yung kanyang direction ay hindi nagbabago. Naiintindihan po ba yan? Is that clear? Okay. So we now proceed. Contact forces and field forces. So there are two major types of forces. Forces which take effect only when there is a physical contact between bodies is called contact forces. For example, yung suntok ni Pacquiao sa mukha ni sino ba kalaban ni Pacquiao? Si De La Hoya halimbawa. No? Sinuntok ni Pacquiao si De La Hoya, tumama yung kamay ni Pacquiao sa mukha ni De La Hoya, natural, masaktan si De La Hoya. So nung nasaktan siya, kaya siya nasaktan, De La Hoya. Napagaya ako sa accent ng nanay niya, 'di ba? Ngayon, kaya siya nasaktan kasi may physical contact sa pagitan nila, 'di ba? So, halimbawa, friction is a type of contact force because without contact there is no friction, 'di ba? Halimbawa, may hinihila kang cart or itinutulak mo yung push cart, kaya gumalaw yung push cart kasi may contact sa pagitan mo at ng push cart, 'di ba? Pero halimbawa, nung pinitik ni Taguro ang hangin, tumalsik si Eugene. Nung pinitik ni Taguro ang hangin, at tumalsik si Eugene, contact force kaya iyon? Kasi doon walang contact, 'di ba? Kasi pinitik ni Taguro ang hangin. Ngayon, tumalsik si Eugene. Yung kaya ay halimbawa ng contact force? Yes, actually. Kaso indirect. Why? Kasi ang nagkaroon ng physical contact ay yung finger ni Taguro at saka yung air molecules. Tapos yung air molecules na naging dahilan kaya tumalsik si Eugene. So there is an indirect contact. Okay? Parang billiard ball. Hindi mo naman tinitira yung bolang may number. Ang tinitira mo yung cue ball na kulay puti. 'Di ba? Something like that. So ano yung halimbawa ng field force? For example, the force between two magnets. Okay? The force between the Earth and the Moon, which causes high tides and low tides. The force between the Earth and the Sun, the gravitational force. What else? The force between electric charges. So these forces take effect at a distance. So they can have the effect even without the physical contact. That's why they are called field forces. Why? Because they act through an entity called the field. For example, the gravity acts through the gravitational field. The magnetic force acts through a magnetic field. And the electric force between charges act through an electric field. That's why the force is called field forces. So I hope that's clear, guys. Contact forces involves a physical contact, while field forces does not involve or do not involve physical contact, but they can act through empty spaces, like the force between planets and stars, the force between electric charges, and the force between magnets. Again, why are they called field forces? Because these forces can act through a field, no? And these fields are actually vector fields: the gravitational field, the electric field, the magnetic field, etc. Okay, now let's talk about the fundamental forces in nature. All forces in nature can be uh, classified into four. Actually, the goal of physics is the grand unification, the grand theory of everything, kung saan gusto nilang i-unify yung mga forces na yan into a single force. But physicists are having problems reconciling the gravitational force and the force involved uh, within atoms, no? So quantum forces are quite incompatible mathematically with gravitational force. So yung gravitational force uh, that is described by Einstein's general relativity, while the forces in the subatomic realm are described by quantum mechanics. So these two branches of physics are the most important physical sciences, branch of physical sciences. Why? Because they underlie the most fundamental things in the universe. Okay? These two involve the most fundamental concepts. The subatomic world is governed by quantum mechanics and the laws that govern extremely huge objects like planets, galaxies, stars, black holes. They're described by general relativity. No? And today, yun nga ang problema sa physics natin. Kumbaga, mayroon tayong kinakaharap. Actually, hindi naman tayo problema. Wala naman tayo pakialam doon. Yung mga physicists yung namang problema. Diba? Pero hindi nila ma-reconcile ang general relativity at ang quantum mechanics. So what are these fundamental forces? One is the electromagnetic force. Electromagnetic force involve all the forces related to electric fields, magnetic fields, or a combination of them. Ay ang tawag ay electromagnetic force. Okay? So, aside from that, we have the gravitational force. Gravitational force is a long-range force because everything in the universe exerts a gravitational force towards any other object. However, the gravitational force is more pronounced for extremely huge objects because of the mass. Why can't we feel the gravitational force of nearby objects? For example, hindi mo nararamdaman na ikaw pala ay na-attract ng katabi mo kahit siya ay na-attract sa'yo, 'di ba? Iba-ibang attraction na 'yan, ano? But the gravitational force between two persons, even though they are very close, is actually negligible due to the extremely low value of the gravitational constant. And now, that is the answer. We don't really feel the gravitational force due to the extremely small value of the gravitational constant. But if the masses involved are huge, then the gravitational force that can be calculated would be significant. Okay? Yon. So, pero kapag ka na-feel mo na ikaw ay nafo-fall sa iyong katabi, no, hindi gravitational force yon. Yan ay katalandian. Kaya ikalma mo yan. Okay? Next is the strong force. What is this strong force? The strong force is the strongest known force in the universe, and you cannot feel this force actually. Even the electrons do not feel the strong force because its effect cannot be felt outside of the nucleus. The strong force is the force that binds the quarks together in order to form protons and neutrons. And it manifests as the strong nuclear force, okay, which binds the protons and the neutrons together so that there will be a stable atomic nucleus. I repeat, no? The strong force is the force that holds the quarks that make up the protons and the neutrons. But it manifests outside of the protons and neutrons as the strong nuclear force binding together the protons and neutrons so that there will be a stable atomic nucleus. Hindi niyo ba na-imagine kung bakit ang mga proton pare-parehas silang mga positive? Dapat nagre-repel sila, 'di ba? Because we know that like charges repel. So bakit nga ba ang mga proton sa nucleus ay mukhang dikit-dikit, 'di ba? Pag ma-imagine mo yung nucleus, hindi naman hiwa-hiwalay yung mga protons doon. So bakit dikit-dikit ang mga protons although they are all positive? Are they being glued together by neutrons? No. They are actually repelling each other. Nagtutulakan sila. Eh sir, kung nagtutulakan pala sila, ba't sila dikit-dikit? Because there is a stronger force that exceeds the electrostatic force of repulsion. And that is what we call the strong nuclear force. Okay? So kumbaga, the force that binds these protons together and the neutrons, including the neutrons, is much greater than the repulsive electrostatic force. Oh, amazing! Kaya nga sabi ko sa inyo, it is the strongest known force in the universe. However, it's a short-range force because its effect cannot be felt outside of the nucleus. No, sabi ko nga sa inyo kanina, even electrons do not feel the presence of the strong force. Okay? And lastly, we have the weak force. Kung mayroong strong, mayroon ding weak. So we associate the weak force with radioactive decay. So kaya nagiging posible ang pagkakaroon ng radioactive decay ng mga radioactive elements is because of this weak force. Okay? So ngayon, itong electromagnetic force at saka itong weak force, yan ay napagsama na nila into a single entity called the electroweak force. Pero ang hindi na naman reconcile is yung gravity at saka itong strong force. No? So, bahala sila sa buhay nila. Basta tayo, chill lang tayo. No? Ngayon, here is a question. If an object does not interact with other objects, it is possible to identify a reference frame in which the object has zero acceleration. This is a statement of which law? Letter A. Is it the law of inertia? B. Law of acceleration? C. Law of interaction? Or D. None of the above? I want you to participate again. You may type your answers in the chat box. Let me show the question again. Yan. The body does not interact with other objects. Sabi dyan, posible daw na magkaroon ka ng isang reference frame kung saan ang object, zero ang acceleration. Ayan, no? Zero ang acceleration. So, anong law yan? Yan ba ay law of inertia, acceleration, interaction, or none of the above? Diba? What's the answer to this question, guys? So, most of you answered letter A, which is law of inertia. That's correct. Very good, guys. Very good. That's law of inertia. However, iba yung wordings na ginamit nung law of inertia na mas familiar sa atin. Ano? Ano ba yung mas familiar na law of inertia na nababasa natin sa mga libro? Di ba? A body at rest remains at rest, or a body in motion continues to be in motion with constant velocity unless acted upon by an external outside force. Yes. Now, yun na nga yun. In the absence of external forces, an object at rest remains at rest, and an object in motion continues in motion with a constant velocity. So, this sentence and that one in the previous slide means the same. No? Parehas lang sila ng ibig sabihin. Ito lang ay mas kumbaga friendly, mas madaling maunawaan ng reader. Kaya sa mga libro, yan ang nakalagay na description ng law of inertia na tinatawag din nating Newton's first law of motion. No? So, in Newton's first law of motion, it is explicitly stated that the net force acting is zero. No? Why? How did we know? Kasi nga po, sabi niya, ayan, constant velocity. So, kung constant velocity, di ibig sabihin nun, zero ang acceleration, therefore zero ang net force. Yan. So, at nalaman natin kanina kapag zero ang net force, anong condition? Di ba ang object ay nasa equilibrium? Yes. Yes. So, that's right. Napakonekta natin ngayon. Anong meron? Hmm. Kapag ka ang body ay nasa system of nasa state of equilibrium, ang applicable na Newton's law ay law of inertia. Kaya sinasabi natin lagi, the summation of forces equals zero. Yun, yung sinasabi mong summation of forces ay equal sa zero, yun ay condition for equilibrium. Basically, nag-apply ka ng Newton's first law of motion or the law of inertia. Pero ano ba yung law of inertia? Ano ba ang ibig sabihin pala nung term na inertia? Inertia, nasa loob siya. Kasi inner siya, 'di ba? Ano ang ibig sabihin ng inertia? Inertia is the tendency or the ability of a body to resist any changes in its velocity. So for example, if an object is at rest, if you push it, it will resist so that it will remain at rest. So the resistance offered by a body to any forces which tries to move it is called its inertia. No? Likewise, if a body is moving, no, and if anything tries to stop it, it will resist, and it will have its tendency to continue moving. So, its resistance to whatever is trying to stop it is its inertia. No? Yan ang kakayahan ng isang object na pigilan yung kahit na ano na nagpapabago sa kanyang state of being at rest or in motion. Okay? So, this inertia is measured in terms of the mass of the body. So, anong ibig sabihin nito? Kung malaki yung mass ng object, then malaki rin yung kanyang inertia. So, therefore, we say that mass is a measure of inertia. That's why in physics sometimes we describe inertia as inertial mass. No? Because mass in physics is a measure of inertia, unlike in chemistry. In chemistry, we describe mass as the amount of matter contained in a body. No? That's how we describe mass in chemistry. It is the amount of matter that make up a body. Gaano karaming matter ba yung present dyan? Yun ang kanyang mass. But in physics, we can describe mass as a measure of inertia. Here is another question. A body moving in a uniform circular motion, A has a constant speed, B has a changing velocity, C is accelerating, or D, all answers are correct. Let me see you guys. Let me see you. Naman, ang bibilis nilang magsagot. Ang sagot nila ay letter D. Why letter D? If a body is moving in a uniform circular motion, bakit po lahat yan ay tama? Who would like to explain? But thank you, Sandra, for your cooperation. Now, ako na mag-explain. Ano? If a body is moving in a uniform circular motion, it must have a constant speed because the motion is uniform, no? So why is its velocity changing when its speed is constant? Because, as I have described a while ago in the previous slide, if the velocity of a body is constant, its path must be a straight line. But since this is a circular motion, the path is circular, meaning from time to time, the direction of the body is changing. So if its direction is changing, then the velocity is no longer constant because the direction is changing. And if the velocity is changing, then it must be accelerating. Okay? That's why all answers are correct. Now the question is, how do we call the acceleration of a body moving in circular motion? No? Ano ang tawag natin sa acceleration ng isang object moving in uniform circular motion? Yes, very good. Si Romar, si Gakusan, si Belvis, at ang dami pang iba. Amazing. Thank you so much for your participation. We call it the centripetal acceleration. So that centripetal acceleration AC is equal to V squared over R. So this is the formula, no? Centripetal acceleration, V squared over R. Okay? Now let's discuss the mass. Kanina, nasabi ko na sa inyo na yung mass ay measure ng inertia ng isang bagay. Kung malaki ang mass ng isang bagay, mas malaki yung kanyang inertia. Meaning, yung resistance niya sa kahit na anong gustong baguhin yung kanyang velocity, no? Ay mas malaki, 'di ba? Kasi mas malaki yung kanyang mass. So it is a measure of the ability to resist changes in velocity, no? So it is a property of an object that measures the ability. Eh ano ba yung ability to resist changes in velocity? Yun yung inertia. Kaya sabi natin, mass is a measure of inertia. Okay? So, what are the units of mass that we use in physics? There are a lot of units, but in SI system, we normally use the unit kilogram. Now, kilogram is the most common. We also use the unit gram. In English system, we have the unit slug. What else? Sometimes we use the unit pound, although pound is actually a unit of force. We also use the unit AMU or measuring the mass of subatomic particles. Atomic mass unit. Okay? Atomic mass unit. Now, here are some important conversion factors. If you're solving problems involving masses, it is important that you know how to convert one unit to another. So, I won't discuss this one by one, pero bigyan ko lang kayo ng highlight dito. Ah, malaki pala yung unit na slug kasi ang isang slug may katumbas na 14.6 kilograms. Pero yung isang kilo, ang katumbas ay 2.2 pounds or 9.8 newtons. 'Di ba? So pag pinag-compare natin, alin ang mas malaki? Mas malaki yung slug followed by kilogram. No. O tama, followed by kilogram, followed by pound, followed by newton. No? So here are other units of mass, no? In English units, the pound is commonly used, and 1 pound is equal to 16 ounce. 1 ton with a double N and E at the end is equal to 1,000 kilograms. 1 US ton is 2,000 pounds, and 1 imperial ton is 2240 pounds. So maraming tonelada. Pero yung tonelada na pamilyar sa atin ay yung isang ton ay 1,000 kilogram. Okay? Here is another question. Which of the following statements is false? Alin po ang false? Letter A, motion is possible in the absence of forces. Letter B, it is possible to have forces acting on an object in the absence of object's motion. Letter C, It is impossible that a body in motion be in a state of equilibrium. Or letter D, none of the above. Remember that in the board exam, many questions are conceptual. Many questions are situational, no, that requires application of some basic concepts. May sitwasyon doon, tapos itatanong sa iyo ano ang mangyayari sa ganung sitwasyon. So para ma-predict mo kung anong mangyayari, you will need to apply some concepts in physics. Now, yun yung mga tanong na talaga mag-iisip ka, yung hindi ka nagsaulo ng mga terminology lang or hindi direct substitution sa formula. Yun yung tinatawag nating critical thinking or analytical questions. Kasi may isang sitwasyon na kinakailangan mong i-analyze kung ano ang magiging outcome. No? Pagaya ng question na ito. Which statement is false? Okay, so you can see the choices. Now you may uh, type in your answers. Parang wala pa masyadong nagtatype. Letter D. Merong nagsagot ng letter A. Letter D, letter D, letter D. Karamihan ay letter D. Bakit po letter D? Kasi nga po, kapag, why none of the above? Because all of these statements are true. How is motion possible in the absence of forces? Yun ang mismo sinasabi ng Newton's first law of motion. Ayan, o balikan natin. In the absence of external forces, an object at rest remains at rest, and an object in motion continues to be in motion. In the absence of external forces. Eh sir, paano gumalaw yun kung walang force? Aba, hindi ko alam. Hindi ko alam. Basta gumagalaw na siya eh. So, kung gumagalaw na siya, kahit walang forces, it will keep on moving. Paano siya gumalaw? Ay, hindi ko alam. That is out of the question. No? Hindi nakasali sa tanong. What caused the motion is no longer part of the question. Basta, siya ay gumagalaw. Kung siya ay gumagalaw na, then kahit walang external forces, siya ay mananatiling gumagalaw. Yun ang sabi ng Newton's first law of motion. That's why the answer to the question is letter D. Why? Because all of these statements are true. Is that clear? Naiintindihan po ba? Okay. So I really appreciate everyone who are participating in the discussion because this is being recorded actually. So because this is recorded, you are part of the discussion. Ano, makikita ng mga future students na makakapanood nito na naging estudyante pala ni Sir si ganyan, 'di ba? Kasi nakita ko sa video na naka-upload sa YouTube, nagta-type siya ng sagot. Yes. So that is the reason why in-record ko ang discussion natin, no? Para meron kayong ma-review in case makalimutan ninyo yung discussion. Okay? Sige. Moving on. Let's discuss Newton's second law of motion. Ano naman ang sinasabi ng Newton's second law of motion? Ano ang ibang tawag sa Newton's second law of motion? Aber? So, law of acceleration. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Ayan, si Julia, si Marvin, si Ives, Petrice, and many more. Thank you so much, guys, for your participation. Your answers are correct. It's called the law of acceleration. Ngayon, ano ang sinasabi ng law of acceleration? Alam nyo guys, ito yung klase na hindi ako mabobore, hindi iinit yung ulo ko, sa halip na ako ay mabad trip, ako ay gaganahan magturo, kasi nafe-feel ko, hindi ako mag-isa sa klase. Diba? Anyway, ano sabi ng Newton's second law? Simple lang. The acceleration of an object is directly proportional to the net force acting on it and is inversely proportional to the mass. Okay? So if we write this, napakasimple niyan. Ang acceleration daw ay directly proportional sa force at inversely proportional sa mass. Ay! So anong ibig sabihin pala nito? Ang acceleration ay effect ng force. So there is a cause and effect relationship. Ano ang cause? Force. Ano ang effect? Acceleration, not the other way around. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na acceleration causes force. Mali yun. Because it is the force which causes acceleration. Naiintindihan po ba? Ngayon, saan pala nakadepende ang acceleration ng isang bagay? Doon sa net force. na nag-a-act sa kanya. Kung malaki yung net force, then malaki rin yung acceleration. Kung maliit ang net force, definitely maliit din ang acceleration ng object. Okay? Pero ang acceleration ay nakadepende rin sa mass. Kaya nga sa marathon, hirap mag-marathon, hirap manalo sa marathon ang mga malalaking tao. Bakit? Kasi mahirap silang mag-accelerate. Mahirap i-accelerate ang isang object na malaki ang mass. No? Because that would require greater force to achieve the same acceleration. For example, you want to achieve the same acceleration, no? You have a massive object and a lesser massive object. In order to get the required acceleration, a larger force is required for the more massive object. Diba? Kasi nga po, kung malaki yung kanyang mass, then malaki rin yung net force na kinakailangan mo para ma-achieve yung required acceleration. Okay? So, from this equation, nakuha natin yung formula na F equals ma, which is kanina, na-discuss ko na sa inyo. It is the force that causes acceleration. There is a cause and effect relationship. Again, what is the cause? The cause is the force. The effect of the force is acceleration. Mahalaga pong matandaan natin yan. Hindi pwedeng mabaliktad, ha? It is not the acceleration which causes the force. It's the other way around. Kasi minsan, kapag dumating na yung tanong, nalilito kayo eh. No? Pero hindi, you cannot interchange that. No? Force causes acceleration. Force is the cause and acceleration is the effect. Now, let us have a diagram to illustrate this. If I have a mass here and I apply a net force, no, that mass will move. Because of course, if the object is at rest, its velocity will definitely change due to the effect of the force. So it will now move in the direction of the force and acquire a certain amount of acceleration. Ayan, no? So, gumalaw siya with a certain velocity. So, nag-accelerate siya kasi kanina at rest and then maya-maya pa, gumagalaw na siya. Okay? So, the acceleration is in the same direction as the force. Why? Because it is this force which causes the acceleration. That's why they are always in the same direction. Naiintindihan po ba? Okay, so acceleration is the effect of a net force. Question. An object experiences no acceleration. Which of the following cannot be true? A. A single force acts on the object. Letter B. No forces act on the object. Letter C. Forces act on the object but the forces cancel. Or letter D. The net force is always zero. Okay, you can analyze the question and type in your answers. Kung may sagot na kayo, you can now type in your answer. So we have varying answers here. Letter A, letter A, letter A. May letter D kanina. Karamihan ay letter A. Cannot be true. Hindi pwede na no force nga eh. Ang sabi, no acceleration eh. So kung ang acceleration ay zero, ibig sabihin nun, ang net force, zero din. Diba? Oh. So, tama ito. Oh, but the forces cancel. So, that means kaya nag-cancel, zero yun. The net force always zero. So, tama yung D, tama yung C, tama yung B. So, which statement is false? Ang mali dyan is yung letter A. Bakit? Because if there is a single force acting on the object, that single force will constitute a net force, which will cause the body to accelerate. Hindi nga pwede kasi ang acceleration ay zero. So, naintindihan po ba kung bakit letter A ang tamang sagot? Malinaw po ba yon? Okay, very good. Tuloy lang natin. Another question. Which of the following statements is always true? Always true. Letter A, the object moves in the direction of the force. Letter B, the direction of the acceleration is in the same direction as the velocity. Letter C, the acceleration is in the same direction as the force. Or letter D, the velocity of the object increases. The velocity of the object increases. Always true. When a force acts on an object, of course. Kasi yun yung sitwasyon eh. When a force acts on an object, which of the following statements is always true? So you have seen the choices, guys. You have seen them already. Now, you can type in your answers. Ba't kagagaling nyo today? Hindi ako, parang kakaiba. Ba't parang magagaling kayo today? Parang nag-super saiyan kayo. Anong meron at tama yung mga sagot nyo lagi sa tanong ko? Feeling ko may kopya kayo ng PowerPoint last year. Umamin na kayo. Very good. Tama ang inyong sagot. The answer is letter C. Bakit? Kasi nga po, it is the force which causes acceleration. That's why the direction of the acceleration will always be the same as the direction of the force which causes it. Diba? So, yun ang laging parehas. Yung force at saka acceleration, same lagi ang kanilang direction. Okay? Tanda ang mabuti. Pero mukhang alam nyo na naman, no? Alam nyo na naman kasi tama ang inyong sagot. So, nagtataka lang ako parang knowing you and your capacity based on your previous scores, hindi dapat tama lagi ang inyong sagot this afternoon. Grabe ka naman, Sir Mang Judge. Well, statistically speaking, that's how it should be. Na-judge na agad. Pero yun nga, nakakatawa kasi tama kayo palagi. Di ba? Ang galing. Mahusay, mahusay. Sige, ituloy na natin ito. Unit ng force. Magtanong ako, ano ang unit ng force sa SI system? Nung kinder nga ako, alam ko na yan eh. Joke! Yan. Sumagot si Kurt Toralba. Newton o Newton. Maraming sumagot ng Newton. Tama. According to a popular survey, ang tanong, who is considered to be the single most brilliant person in the history of humankind? Oh, it wasn't Einstein. It was actually Newton. Oh. Einstein. Sir Ambo. Grabe ka naman. Napakabobo kong tao kung ikukumpara mo ako sa kanila. Nakakapaliit. Wala pa ako sa otot ni Newton. Pero kasama siya lagi sa mga kwento ko. Because I was there. Nung tinamaan ng mansa na si Newton, habang siya ay nakaupo, nakita ko. Kasi I was there. Kasi nagpapapagaya ako nung time na yon. It was Newton. Alam niyo kung bakit? Because during his time, nothing was modern yet. During his time, nothing was modern yet. Parang wala siyang pagbabasihan ng kanyang mga kiniklaim. He claims this, he claims that. He claims to have discovered this. No? He claims to have discovered that. Pero wala siyang naging basihan ng kanyang mga na-discover. 'Di ba? Halimbawa, yung kanyang universal law of gravitation nung time na yon, wala namang ibang law na nag-exist about gravity, 'di ba? Kasi apart from Newton, yung mga ancient Greeks, kagaya ni Archimedes, wala naman silang alam tungkol sa law of gravitation. Halimbawa, the laws of mechanics which were established by Newton himself, wala namang laws of mechanics pa prior to that. 'Di ba? Kaya kumbaga wala siyang pinagbasihan. Unlike Einstein, yung general relativity niya, may pinagbasihan na siya. Yung law of gravity na na-discover ni Newton. Na ang sabi lang ni Einstein is, law of gravity ni Newton, hindi naman totally mali. Pero kumbaga, yun ay isang special case lang. No? Which is nung time ni Newton, hindi niya rin naman naisip. 'Di ba? Pero yung basis ni Einstein na kanyang general theory of relativity, which is now the prevailing theory of gravity, is actually Einstein's law of gravitation. And ano pa, yung special theory of relativity, which is anchored on the principle of the constancy of the speed of light. Now, alam niyo ba kung ano ang nag-inspire kay Einstein para aralin yung special theory of relativity na yan? Yung fascination niya about light. Parang na-imagine niya, what if I am at the tip of a light beam? Ano kaya ang mangyayari sa kanya kung siya ay nasa tip ng isang light beam? Paano ko nalaman yan? Kinuwento niya sa akin one time. No? Nung nagkasabay kami sa jeep, papuntang Moraita. One time, si Einstein ay dumalaw sa England, and of course, he visited the laboratory of Isaac Newton. No? was known to have said that he was able to discover a lot of things in this world because according to Newton, he stood on the shoulder of giants. Ngayon, nung pumunta si Einstein sa England, tinanong siya ng mga siyempre ng mga tao doon na how about you, Mr. Einstein? Paano mo nalaman lahat ng mga bagay na na-discover mo? Sabi niya. Did you also stood on the shoulder of giants? Nagulat ang mga tao. Sumagot si Einstein. Sabi niya, no, I didn't stood on the shoulder of giants. I instead stood on the shoulder of Maxwell. Oh, 'di ba? Nag-English si Einstein kahit German siya. Siyempre marunong naman yung mag-English, 'di ba? So, bakit Maxwell ang nabanggit niya? Kasi nga po, yung electromagnetic theory of light, ang nag-formulate nun ay si Maxwell. And it's his fascination with light which led him to his much celebrated special theory of relativity. Once again, that special theory of relativity is anchored on the principle that light has a constant speed wherever you are in the universe, whether the source of light is moving or not. Diba? Amazing grace. So, uh, going back to the question kanina, no? According to a popular survey, who among the scientists are the greatest? No? Actually, para sa akin, kung ako ang respondent doon, si Newton, si Einstein, at saka si Maxwell. Yung tatlong yun. No? So, these three, for me personally, are uh, the most influential thinkers in the history of science. Okay? Now, let's go back to the unit of force. Newton, no? Is a unit of force in the SI system, and we know that 1 Newton of force is equivalent to, saan ba equal yung force? Diba equal yan sa mass times acceleration. So therefore, yung Newton ay equal sa kilogram meter per second squared. So how do we define a Newton? It's quite easy, no? We define Newton as the force required to accelerate a mass of 1 kilogram by an acceleration of 1 meter per second squared. So that's the definition of the unit Newton. I repeat, it is the force required to accelerate a mass of 1 kilogram by how much? By 1 meter per second every second. Now, in the English system of units, the unit of force is pound, and we define pound as the force required to accelerate a mass of one slug by 1 foot per second squared. In the CGS system, the unit of force is dyne. What is dyne? Dyne is the force required to accelerate a mass of 1 gram by 1 centimeter per second every second. So these are the commonly used unit of forces and their corresponding definitions. Okay? Problem. A 6.6 times 10 to the 4 Newton car traveling with a speed of 30 kilometers per hour strikes an obstruction. It is brought to rest in zero point 0.1 second. What is the average force on the car? So to solve this problem, we know that the net force acting on a body equals the product of its mass and its acceleration. So how about the mass? Is the mass given? The given is actually its weight in newtons. But we know that weight is equal to m times g. So therefore, the mass is W over g. Okay? How about the acceleration? Acceleration is the change in velocity over a certain time interval. The change in velocity is the initial minus the final divided by, of course, the time interval over which the change occurred. Now, if initially the car is traveling at 30 kph, so we would like to convert the unit kilometers per hour into meters per second. What's the shortcut? To convert kph to meters per second, you simply divide by 3.6. No? Divide mo lang ng 3.6. So we have 30 kph, no? I-divide mo ng 3.6 minus ang final velocity 0 kasi huminto siya. It was brought to rest. So you have 30 minus 0 over yung 3.6. At i-multiply na natin yung delta t, no? In 0.1 second. Okay? Okay, so you can now substitute the values. 6.6 times 10 raised to 4 newtons divided by the acceleration due to gravity is of course 9.8 times 30 over 3.6 times 0.1. Okay, this gives us how much? Ang laki. Dax si Maymay. 561 times 10 to the 3. So, 561 kilonewtons. 561 kilonewtons ang sagot. Ay, that's right. Tama ang ating sagot. Ayan o. 561.22 kilonewton. So, madali lang po ha. Ang ginamit lang natin ditong formula ay yung formula ng force. The net force equals the mass times acceleration kung saan ang mass ay makukompute mula sa given weight at ang acceleration ay makukompute mula sa change in velocity because A is delta V over delta T. Okay? Next problem. A hockey puck, alam niyo yung hockey puck? Yung hinahampas nung baston sa hockey, yung bilog, no? A hockey puck having a mass of 0.3 kilogram slides frictionless horizontal surface of an ice rink. Two hockey sticks stride the puck simultaneously o dalawa daw stick ang tumama exerting the forces of the puck shown in the figure. Determine the magnitude and the direction of the puck's acceleration. Ay! Para bagang ganito ang drawing. Ito yung hockey puck, no? May tumama na stick sa kanya. Ito yung line of action ng force. At ito naman, yung line of action ng isa pang stick. So, ang itinatanong, ano daw ang magnitude at saka direction nung acceleration nung puck. Madali lang yan, no? Remember that the acceleration is the force divided by the mass. Since the mass is given, we need to first determine the net force. But here, there are two forces given. So, thus, we need to find the resultant. No? Sir, di ba sabi mo kanina pagkukuha ng resultant force vector addition? Yes. Pero guys, madali lang yan sa calcu. Ha? Kinakalcu lang yan sa complex mode. No, tuturuan ko kayo. No? So, dalhin mo ang calculator mo sa complex mode. Ayan. Dapat naka-degree mode siya. Kung hindi, convert mo. Ayan, naka-degree mode. Tapos, ang gagawin lang natin is sa calculator, to get the resultant, that's F1 angle theta 1 plus F2 angle theta 2. Plus kung ilan man yan, kung ilan man sila. Hanggang Fn angle theta n. Kahit ilang forces yan. Basta ang mahalaga, yung mga theta dyan, yung mga angle, ay laging measured relative to the positive x-axis. That is the convention. Otherwise, magkakamali ka. Ulitin ko ha, dapat yung mga angle measured relative to the positive x-axis. Positive kung counterclockwise, negative kung clockwise. Okay? Yung 5, dapat ang angle niya ay negative 20. Yan. Plus, yung F2 ay 8 at ang angle niya ay positive 60. Okay. So, we have 10.14, 30.96, approximately 31. Approximately 31 degrees. Ayan. Kapag dinivide mo naman yan ng 0.3, tama, 33.8, same angle. 33.8 or approximately 34 meters per second squared. It should be squared. Angle 31 degrees. I repeat. So we have 33.8 meters per second squared acting at approximately 31 degrees. So, kung ilalagay natin yung force, nasan yun? Most likely, kung ito ay 60, di kalahati. Somewhere here. Nandyan yung acceleration. Intindihan po ba? So, madali lang. Sir, applicable yan kahit ilang forces? Yes. Basta mahalaga, again, dapat ang angle ay measured from the positive x-axis. Kapag clockwise, negative ang angle. Kapag counterclockwise, positive ang angle. That's the convention. Okay po. Another problem. A block slides on a frictionless surface that is inclined at an angle theta with respect to the horizontal. O parang ganito siya. What is the acceleration as it slides down the surface? No? If the block is released from rest, how long does it take before the tip of the block reaches the bottom of the incline? Para bagang ganito siya. Yan. So, frictionless yan. Tapos, ito yung angle na theta. Diba? So, anong acceleration yan? Diba? Siyempre, kung ito ay frictionless, mag-slide yan pababa with a certain acceleration. No? So, ano ang kanyang acceleration? No? So, ano ba ang net force na nag-a-act sa kanya? Actually, ito ang kanyang weight na equal sa m times g. Okay? Pero, saan siya gumagalaw? In the direction which is along the incline. Ano po? Yung kanyang paggalaw ay sa direction to. Okay? So, ano to? Ganito kasi yan. Ah, meron kasing parallel at mayroong normal. Ito kasi yung weight niya eh. So, itong weight na ito, may dalawang components. Yung isa, normal, doon sa surface. Yung isa, parallel, doon sa surface. Ngayon, ang tatandaan nyo lagi is, magkikreate siya ng triangle eh. Natin to ha. Baguhin natin yung kulay ng weight. Ito yung weight niya. Tapos, yan. Ito yung normal component niya. At ito yung component na parallel doon sa incline. Ngayon, kung ito ay theta, nasan yung theta? Ito, theta din yan. Itong angle sa pagitan ng weight at saka nung normal component, theta din yun. Okay? Ano tong component na ito? So, ay adjacent ng angle. 'Di ba? So, kung adjacent, ang ginagamit ay cosine. So, how about itong parallel dun sa incline? Di natural, ang gagamitin mo naman ay sine. No? Kaya, yung acceleration na meron yung object ay equal dun sa g times sine of theta. So, yan na yung kanyang acceleration. Sir, bakit? Kasi nga po, ang acceleration niya ay nandun sa direction ng incline. Kasi dun siya nag-accelerate eh. Hindi naman siya bumababa vertically. Siya ay bumababa along the direction of the incline. So, kukunin mo yung component ng A na parallel dun sa incline. No? Ang component na yun ay yung G niya. Diba? So, yung G, multiplyan mo ng sine theta, makukuha mo yung kanyang acceleration. Okay? So, the acceleration of a body that is moving along a frictionless incline is equal to G sine theta. Okay. If the block is released from rest, how long does it take before the tip of the block reaches the bottom of the incline? Ayan. Gaano daw katagal bago ito marating? Kung nagsimula siya sa, o ang VI niya ay 0. O paano yun? Di natural, may matatravel siya na certain distance. Di po ba? Yung distance niya ay equal sa VIT plus 1/2 AT squared. Pero hindi natin alam yung time kung kailan niya mararating yan. Kaya hindi natin siya magagamit, 'di ba? So gamitin natin yung isang formula, VF squared equals VI squared plus 2AT. Yan. So ang kanyang final velocity ay ano ba to? How long does it take? How long? O di magagamit mo pala yung VF equals VI plus A times T. Now, ang final velocity niya ay 0 plus A times T. So, kanyang VF ay, itong VI ay 0. Ano yung acceleration niya? T times sin theta, of course. Multiply mo yan ng T. Kasi VF is equal to VI plus AT. Ito na yung kanyang final velocity. D sin theta times T. After that, makukuha mo na ang kanyang, ano ba bang tinatanong dito? What is its speed? Ito na nga yun. Final velocity yun. So, ito, no? Yung VF niya ay equal sa, itong VI ay 0. So, square root ng 2 times, ano yung acceleration niya? G times sin theta times d. Bakit po? Ito yun, oh. 2 times yung acceleration na g sin theta times d. Yung total distance from here to there. Eh, yun yung na-travel na distance niya. So, yun yung VF in terms of D. Ito naman kasing nakuha natin, yan yung VF in terms of the time. Okay? So, ngayon, kung hindi given yung time, mako-compute mo siya. No? Paano? O, edi ito. No? Yung time na yan, ito, mako-compute mo by dividing this VF by this G sin theta. Meron na tayong VF, square root of, ano yun? 2G sin theta times D divided by G sin theta. Yan. Yan yung time kung saan mararating nung object yung dulo nung ramp, yung baba. Okay? Kung given po ang angle theta at saka yung total distance na kanyang ita-travel. Okay? So, dito kasi yung G of course constant yan. So, dapat ang alam mo na lang yung theta, kung given yung theta at saka yung distance traveled. Okay po? O, madali lang, madali lang. Next problem. An object having a mass m is in an elevator moving at a certain acceleration a. Di ba kapag nasa elevator ka at umangat yung elevator from being at rest, feeling mo parang slightly you became heavier, no? And kapagka naman biglang bumaba yung elevator from being at rest, feeling mo parang slightly gumaan ka. There is sort of a feeling like that, no? Pero actually hindi ka naman talaga bumibigat, hindi ka naman talaga gumagaan kasi ang mass mo naman constant, maliban na lang kung umiinom ka ng tubig habang ikaw ay umaakyat yung elevator, 'di ba? Kasi natural bibigat ka kasi uminom ka ng tubig, 'di ba? Pero kung halimbawa hindi naman nagbabago yung mass mo, bakit sir feeling ko parang bumigat ako? Yun ay effect nung acceleration, no? So, ang nafi-feel mo ay effect nung acceleration. So, paano natin mako-compute 'yan? Madali lang, no? Ah, yung acceleration ay equal sa i-add mo na lang, no? Kapagka pataas yung elevator, yun ay G plus yung apparent weight mo, no? Apparent weight kasi yung nararamdaman mo, eh, no? When going upward, ang nararamdaman mo ay equal sa G plus A, no? Kapagka naman downward, yung nararamdaman mong apparent weight ay mas magaan kasi nagma-minus yung G at saka acceleration due to gravity, no? So, kapagka yang G plus A na yan at saka G minus A, minultiply natin dun sa mass, mako-compute na natin yung force, no? Yun yung apparent weight na nararamdaman mo. Kasi ito yung net acceleration kapagka ikaw ay pataas. Kapagka naman pababa, ito ang net acceleration. So, yung net acceleration, multiply mo lang dun sa mass, mako-compute mo na yung apparent force na nararamdaman mo. Kaya feeling mo, gumaan ka or bumigat. It's just an apparent force. Okay? Due to the effect of the acceleration. Tandaan po natin, a weight of 50 pounds and another of 30 pounds are suspended by a rope on either side of a frictionless pulley. Yan. So, ano daw yung acceleration ng dalawang bodies? For example, meron tayong pulley dito. So, yung pulley na yan, of course, naka-fix. Yan. Tapos may nakatabit na masses. Yung isa ay M1, yung isa pagpalagay natin ay M2. So, natural yung mabigat, bababa, yung magaan, tataas. Di po ba? So, pag bumaba yung mabigat, aangat yung magaan, magkakaroon sila ng acceleration. Yun ang itinatanong. Ano ang acceleration nung dalawang yan? But since they are connected by a common chord, yung acceleration nila parehas lang ang magnitude. Yung isa nga lang pababa, yung isa pataas. But they have the same magnitude. So, how do we get the acceleration? Mag-sample tayo halimbawa, mass 1, no? Ito yung mass 1 mo. What are the forces acting on mass 1? Natural, may tension at saka may weight, no? Na M1 times D. So, applying Newton's second law of motion. Bakit? Kasi dito, may acceleration na yung object. Kaya ang gagamitin natin ay Newton's second law. No? F net equals mass times acceleration. Ano ba yung net force? Ito yung tension, which is pataas, minus yung weight niya na of course pababa. So we have M1G equals, pasan yung acceleration niya. Sa drawing na to pababa kasi siya yung mabigat. So negative of M times A. Okay. So M1 po iyon, no? Now, we need to use M2 and formulate or apply Newton's second law to M2. Kung ito naman yung M2, bawa ito yung M2. Again, what are the forces acting on it? May tension at saka may weight. Yung M2 multiplied by G. So, applying Newton's law of motion, we have T minus M2G equals, pasan ngayon yung kanyang acceleration? Di ba pataas? So, M2 multiplied by A. Okay? So, anong pwede natin gawin dyan? Para makancel yung T, ipag minus mo sila. Diba? Okay? So, or itong T na to, substitute mo doon. Pwede yun. Solve the two equations simultaneously. Ang makukompute mo dyan, ito na yung formula. Shortcut na natin. No? It's just the difference. Pagpalagay natin, mas mabigat yung mass 1. So, mass 1 minus mass 2 divided by M1 plus M2. Yan. Okay. So, the formula is M1 minus M2 over M1 plus M2 times G. So, para positive yung makukuha nating acceleration, yung M1 yun yung mas mabigat. No? Kapag pinagbaliktad mo yan, negative lang din naman yung makukuha mong sagot, same lang ang magnitude. Kasi nga po, yung isa pababa, yung isa pataas, kaya opposite yung signs ng acceleration nila. Pero equal lang ang magnitude. Okay? So the next time you see this problem, hindi ka na mag-a-apply ng Newton's law of motion kasi meron na tayong shortcut formula. Ano? Ang setup na yun ang tinatawag nating Atwood machine. No? So sa physics, isa yan sa mga posibleng experiment kung saan mame-measure natin ang acceleration due to gravity experimentally. No? So using the Atwood machine setup. Okay, so the acceleration of the Atwood machine is given by this formula, M1 minus M2 over M1 plus M2 times G. Saan nakuha yan? Ito, dito sa dalawang equations na yan, nung in-apply natin ang Newton's second law of motion, yung dalawang masses. So again, ang mahalaga marunong kang mag-analyze. Kasi ang mga problem nagbabago-bago yan. No? So yung problem, kung naunawaan mo, i-apply mo lang yung appropriate concept or law para sa kanya, makakapag-formulate ka na ng equation, solve mo yung equation, makukuha mo yung tamang sagot. No? So, kinakailangan po, marunong tayong mag-analyze ng problem. Okay? So, next example. A baseball thrown straight up reaches a maximum height of 15 meters in 2 seconds. What is the acceleration experienced by the ball when it reaches the maximum height if up is defined as a positive direction? Here are the choices. We have a baseball, imagine, thrown straight up. It reaches a maximum height, of course, and then after reaching the maximum height, it will fall back to the ground. But the question is, what's the acceleration when it reaches the maximum height? Considering that the upward direction is positive. Letter A, positive 9.8 meters per second squared. B, 7.5 meters per second squared. 0 or negative 9.8 meters per second squared. What is your answer? Okay, let me see, guys. Let me see. So, most of you answered letter D, negative 9.8 meters per second squared. That's correct. No? Letter D is the correct answer. Why? Because at any point along its path, the acceleration is always due to gravity, which is always directed downward. Kaya, kahit nasaan pa yung ball, kahit wala pa siya sa maximum height niya or nandun na siya sa maximum height niya, its acceleration is always due to gravity. That's why it's always negative 9.8 meters per second squared. Okay po. Sir, hindi ba zero? Hindi talaga. Wait lang, kaninong manok yan tumitilaok dyan?